Hello, I'm down the slope as ever. I'm Ewan, and we're back with a full house. We've got Greg, Liam, and Harry. Greg, how you doing, mate?
Not bad, not bad. How's yourself, brother?
Oh, not too bad. Stressful evening trying to sort out the bus for the weekend, given the pub's been cancelled at the last minutes. But we've got San sorted, so we're back on track. And if Nicola Sturgeon wants to fucking fanny about tomorrow, then oh Jesus fuck, it's not even worth thinking about. Liam, how you doing, mate?
Doing all right, man. Fully recovered after a wee bit of lurgy last week, but I fully recovered. All looking forward to what's going to be a busy week for the Hibs this week.
Good. And Harry, down in London, not long till you're back up in your homeland for a good period of time. You're looking forward to it?
Well, depending on certain news, I'm hoping what Liam had is chanted into me, and I've got that on my plate, because otherwise it could be a not so great time. But yeah, apart from that, I guess life is life.
Good. Right. Well, unless you've been living under a rock, Jack Ross has been sacked. We are a bit late to the party on that, let's be honest. But like you say, two of the four of us were floored with non-COVID related illnesses, and Greg and Liam last week. And life got in the way for me and Harry. Harry was too busy living it up in London Thursday, Friday, so we couldn't record. So Jack Ross has been sacked. We will briefly talk about the Livy game and the St Mirren game and whatnot, but we were there on was it Wednesday night? It did start to get a bit toxic, but did it surprise you that he went? Like, because there hadn't really been any. There's normally some murmurs coming out of the club prior to it.
Yeah, Ron Gordon doesn't seem like the guy to me that would hand out votes of the vote of confidence. For me, I wasn't surprised at all. I think was it 3 points and or something points.
I think.
Yeah,
or maybe 4
that's nowhere near good enough. So I wasn't surprised. I think I was maybe a bit of the minority that wasn't surprised, but I think his time is up. Livy on Wednesday night was extremely toxic. I think I mentioned that to you at halftime. I said it could get very toxic, and you quite rightly pointed out that it was already at that point. So yeah, I think that he had to go. Something had to change.
Liam, you've been quite a supporter of Jack Ross sort of throughout his tenure. I mean, rightly so. Were you surprised, and where were you sort of at on Wednesday night?
I wasn't surprised. I think the Livy game is probably the first time that I've really kind of come round to the idea of it being the only way out of this situation that we're in at the moment. It's unfortunate it's come to this, but I just didn't see him being able to turn it around, and we couldn't afford to continue on this run for any longer without taking some form of action. So, I wasn't surprised. I'm glad the club did it in a relatively kind of timely manner, and there wasn't rumours swirling for days and days. They just kind of got it over and done with. So, yeah, onwards and upwards.
And Harry, same question to yourself. What did you want and / did you expect to see?
To be honest, after the Ross County game, that was kind of the eye-opener for me. As soon as we lost that game, as soon as he made that sub, I was like, I honestly couldn't give less of a rat's arse if he left or not. I did like Jack Ross, and I like him as a person, and I liked him as a manager, but for any club in the world, 4 points out of 27 is nowhere near acceptable. Something drastic needed to change, and the players weren't playing for him. So I think he had to go. I think it's the right decision by the club, and as Liam said, I think we dealt with it in the very right way. I think some clubs just kind of say he's gone and then don't touch on it again. But the next day we were tweeting like, "Thanks to Jack Ross for all his time with us." And like, I think it's the best thing for both parties.
Yeah, I have to say, look, I think I guess probably similar to what Harry's saying about Ross County, and I don't know, maybe because we're the larger supporter at Livingston, if maybe by all accounts the games weren't that dissimilar, and maybe just the fact that there was more people at the Livy game, it was maybe the turning point for even more people. I was done on Wednesday night, to be honest. Similar, you talk about substitutions, and I mean,
oh man, don't bring it up.
When he brought on Darren McGregor for Porteous, and I know centre half for centre half, but he needed a goal. Like, whether you think James Scott's good or not, you've got a striker sitting on the bench, you need a goal, on a winger or whatever fucking position James Scott plays. But that's a different matter. But for me, I'll maybe buck the trend here. I was surprised that I didn't really feel like he was under any real pressure. I think Ben Kensel had sort of shown. It didn't even feel like it was a question on when he was speaking with Hibs.pod. It felt like he had a lot of support from the club. He obviously sounded like it anyway. He played a part in the hiring of Steve Keane as academy director. Sounded like he had influence there, and all the signs definitely were pointing for me to the fact that Jack Ross was probably going to stay. But like you've all said, I mean, they're on a form, and I'm happy with the decision. I think it's fair enough. Greg, the media have definitely taken a totally different look on it than we have. Everyone says they deserve more time. It's one poor run of form, but 9 games. It's almost a quarter of the season.
Well, I'll tell you what, these jokers that write these articles obviously have loyalties to the man, because if they seen what we've seen over the 9 games, we certainly wouldn't be saying that.
It's interesting. It's coming from everywhere. I watched the Open Goal podcast for the first time in months. They were the one way. Is it the Coupon show? I think with Derek. Is it Derek Ferguson? I think he's on it. Sports Team were saying it was a mad decision. And like you say, all the articles and stuff. I feel like the only media outlet that hasn't really questioned it is the Evening News, which I guess would probably be the one closest to the club and paying the most attention to Hibs.
Yeah, I mean, these people look for the outside in. I think part of it is probably the way that Jack Ross spoke in his very nicey manner. Probably was held in high regard with the media, but for me, 4 points from 27 games speaks for itself.
Not managers.
Sorry, 27, 4 points out of 27. It felt like 27 games, but 4 points out of 27, not good enough. The media can spout what they want, but in my opinion, right decision by the club. I don't think Ron Gordon's going to arse about making these decisions, to be honest.
Liam, what do you think? Greg mentions Ron Gordon there. I know you've maybe got some reservations over Ben Kensel and stuff. This is probably the first big job he's had probably since coming in. What do you make of the decision from the board to sort of get rid of Jack Ross at this time?
If it's his first big job, goodness knows what he's been doing as CEO for the last 5 months. Because I mean, as a CEO, he should have been doing something in the last 5 months. I'm sorry, but Ben Kensel, for me, jury's very much out on him in his tenure at Hibs so far. Both the way he's conducted himself in the media, the way he's talked about the previous regime, looked to blame everybody but himself. He was appointed on the 27th of July, and he spent time blaming Graham Matthew about the window. He was the CEO for the last 5 weeks of the window. Buck stops with him. So poor transfer window. It's on you as well, pal. It's not just Graham Matthew. New manager, massive decision for him. If he gets this wrong,
he's done.
For me, he's done. I'm not impressed from what I've seen of him so far. Really not impressed, and I think he needs to get this decision right. And if he goes for a safe choice, we'll come on to talk about choices later on. But if he goes for a safe choice and gets it wrong, that's even worse for me. At least go and take a risk and go and get someone different. But I'm starting to think that this is maybe just a bit too big a step up for Ben Kensel.
Harry, what do you think it says about the board though that they have acted fairly quickly with Jack Ross? We had spoke previously about how we expect I've said previously, I think Liam and Greg and yourself, you felt like Jack Ross had a lot of support, but I said I felt like Ron Gordon expects us to be third and he wouldn't necessarily hang about. Do you think it shows that the sacking the manager show that we expect to be at the top end of the table? We won't accept any less.
I think that he is trying to, Ron Gordon's got a clear goal in mind, and that's to establish Hibs as the third best team in the country. I think he wants to be the best of the rest. Anybody that invests in Scottish football at the moment realistically wants to be the best of the rest. I think when you're trying to establish that, you can forgive maybe a couple 4th or 5th finishes here and there, but with the way we're going, the trajectory is literally a relegation battle. I think the board needed to act, needed to do something because it's a relatively new board. Ben Kensel, I don't know too much about the ins and outs of a club, but you know he's been in and now he's got fans already saying, look, you need to do things right. Like the pressure's going to be on if they don't turn it around. Like Hibs fans don't get much in the way of tasting success, which is frustrating for all of us. But as soon as we've got a taste of success, it's been ripped away from us that quickly. So the fans are right to be annoyed and angered at the fact we were third in the league and now we're nearly third bottom. It's pathetic. So they need to get this right.
Yeah, Greg, we've obviously, like I said earlier, it felt like Jack Ross was getting a lot of responsibility. Does the timing come into question? and people keep saying the cup final, but I'm almost thinking less of the cup final and the fact January's round the corner. We know we need players. Like Liam says, we have accepted we had a poor window in the summer. There's a big job on to get this squad to where it wants to be.
I mean, for me, if a new manager comes in, they've then got the January window. I think he's had enough, to be honest. I think he's had too many windows, but he's not done enough for the club. He's not brought the right players in, whether that's also on Matthew and Kensell, to be fair, with the last window, but he didn't deserve another window, because when the form's as bad as it was, you don't deserve to stay at the club. It's as simple as that. I would echo what Liam says. I think Kensell is under big problems, big pressure, sorry. It's all very well coming from Norwich City, mediocre. Probably don't expect a lot, happy to hang around play between the Premier League and Championship for
Have
the
they
rest
not
of
said
their
they
lives.
want to be? It was the final tag that not been given to Norwich that they want to be in the top 23 or like the top 25 clubs.
Pathetic, absolute losers mentality, and he's come to a club where we finished third last season, and to be honest, we expect that. Probably a sense of self-entitlement there, absolute sense of self-entitlement, but he needs to understand the stats of the club as well. Like, we're a much bigger club than Norwich City, so he needs to understand the environment, understand what the fans want. The fans were rightly pissed off after the window. He now needs to put it right, and he also needs to get the best man in the building to take the team forward.
Yep.
So good luck to him.
Look, let's wrap up on Jack Ross and let's try and look at big picture here. So he'd been in the job just over 2 years, or pretty much 2 years. It was about I don't know the exact date. Harry, if you were to sort of assess his job at Hibs over the 2 year period, sort of out of 10, what would you be looking at and why?
Look, I'm not going to shame Jack Ross. I'd definitely have him in my top 3 Hibs managers in my lifetime. I don't think that's an unfair comment. I'd give him at least an 8 out of 10. I know I think we've got a lot of recency bias, but whether we got beat in the latter stages of the Cup, our Cup record under Jack Ross was phenomenal. Obviously, the last 2 months and 3-4 months in the league has been unacceptable, but he took a team that was absolutely pitiful, gave them a bit of belief without changing many of the players, and I think he done a good job in the end, across the board. In the end, he done a terrible job, but across the board, I think he did a good job. So I give him an 8 out of 10.
And for me, I think just the final word on Jack Ross from possibly his biggest fan on the podcast. His win percentage is still joint best in my lifetime at 50%. So I know people going about, you use fucking statistics. I didn't like statistics. Well, actually, win percentage
all about the eye test,
straightforward. It's straightforward.
All about
win
the
percentage is pretty straightforward. What you take is the number of games you've played in total as a manager and the number of wins, and you work it out as a percentage, and it's 50%. So just in case you didn't understand that statistic, so I only Alex McLeish level in my lifetime, which I'm not going to say he's the best Hibs manager in my lifetime because I don't think he is, but I'm with Harry. He's probably top 3.
What about yourself, Greg? Take that. Let's take us back 2 years. You're absolutely buzzing at your tits for Jack Ross has just been appointed. We've just beaten Johnston 4-1. We're about to line up against Motherwell. We beat them at home. Fast forward 2 years, Livy away. Look at everything in between, and where does he land out of 10?
Yeah, 6.
Why so?
6 out of 10 for me. What were we, 11th when he took over?
11th, pretty much 12th. I think we were about a point out of the Hearts or something.
Okay, so we're now 6 points off that. Okay. So if we look at it, right, really, as good as last season was at times, it was good. We shat the bed in the cup in the 2 semis. Harry, get the specs off and get your normal ones on, son. And obviously the final as well. Big disappointments there. I think they need to be looked at as well. The league form stuttered at times last season, I think. And they finished third, which is just good. But yeah, this season, wow, it's like chalk and cheese in it. Yep. We started the season well. We've not been anywhere near it since, to be honest. And 6 points off 11th when we've got a game in hand.
What are we off 4th as well, just out of curiosity for balance?
Yeah. So this is my favourite thing to do. I'll only be negative with the stats. We're actually 5 points off fourth with a game in hand.
Okay.
But we have played a game more than Ross County and St Johnstone.
Right. Okay.
But one last thing just before we move on, unless you want to put your point on Ewan. So I thought you said it's that. I think likening them to Butcher or Hecky or Fenlon is just about ridiculous. I think that even though he didn't do well with the squad he's got, there was a lot of injuries that led into it. Obviously, the results aren't acceptable despite that, but linking him to Butcher is just an absolute farce.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Jack Ross's company and as a Hibs manager is, whether people like it or not, Mowbray, Lennon, McLeish, and because of what he done in the cup, Stubbs, I guess, is always going to be held above them by 90% of the fan base. For me, Jack Ross, I'm probably looking at about a 7 out of 10. I think he's done a good job in the league. Like a good job in the league. Recently, not so much. I think the last 9 games has probably been the first period where you felt like we've started to go backwards. I think you've seen some early signs in his sort of first season pre-COVID of what he was trying to do last season in the league. Nobody can argue it was a good season in the league. Yeah, maybe you want to beat Celtic and Rangers or at least take more points off them, but to finish third, and people say, it was only we finished third comfortably. 7 points clear you finished, and that was you were able to rest players on the last day of the season. So good league season last year, and the cups, it's definitely could have been better. Like good, but I feel like Jack Ross in general, 7 out of 10, and there's always going to be a couple of question marks over there, almost like a what if, like could we have done a little bit more there? Could we have done a little bit better here? But look, Jack Ross has moved on. Greg, we've all got 3 managers here. One we definitely do not want. Yep. One we think may get the job, and one that like a realistic one that you would like to get the job. In any order you like, set us off.
Right, I have 3 that I would like to get the job. So I'm just gonna. Oh, are we going round in a circle here?
No, just you go. Like you can have your 3. Harry will have his 3. Liam will have his 3. Then I'll have my 3.
Okay. Number 1 for the job in no particular order is Roy Keane.
And is this the one that you think will get, or you really want to get?
No, I really want him to get it. I think who I would really like to get it is Ronnie Dyler. And the third one who I think will get it is Lennon.
Okay, and who do you really not want it to get?
Derek McInnes, because I know Harry's got a corker.
Right. Liam, same to yourself. One you would really, really like to get it. One you think probably will, and one you definitely do not want to see near that dugout.
So being me and wanting to be a wee bit different, I've gone for some names that you probably haven't heard of. So my first one is current Forest Green manager, Rob Edwards. Forest Green absolutely flying at the top of English League 2. Rob Edwards, pretty decent career, 15 caps for Wales. He's been in that job relatively short term, so it might take quite a lot to prize him away. I think he'd be someone that I'd want us to go after. My second one is a wee bit out the blue. Morton Veekhorst, some remember, played for Celtic, played for Dundee in the early 2000s. Currently assistant coach with the Danish national team. He's coached a couple of clubs in Denmark. I think varying degrees of success, it's fair to say, but in and around the Denmark setup all the time. He's obviously learning, and I think it's time that we went for something a bit different. Maybe a slightly foreign appointment with some different ideas. And then the third one, who I definitely don't want to see get the job, is Neil Lennon. I think there's a lot of clamour, a lot of shouts for Neil Lennon, and I think there's a lot of people with very distorted memories. Neil Lennon was good while John McGinn. The minute John McGinn left, Neil Lennon's team went to shit. And the last 4 months under Neil Lennon were absolutely atrocious. And anyone who remembers differently has either suffered a bang on the head or has got early onset dementia.
Yeah, I mean, Neil Lennon's, it was almost to the exact same dates. He was on a 7-game winless run, and just the difference was he won his 8th game. So anyone that thinks then
man.
Jack Ross's reign was back. Neil Lennon's was just as bad.
Anyone that wants Neil Lennon to get the job, go back and watch the highlights of Kilmarnock 3 Hibernian 0. Neil Lennon played 6 defenders.
I'm going to urge everyone not to do that, otherwise you might just give up with football.
Go and watch it.
Harry, yourself. Sorry, Liam. So who is it? Who do you think will get the job?
Fuck knows, to be honest. Another shout who I kind of discounted, and I discounted because Greg would shout him down, was he's out of work at the minute, Chris Hughton. He obviously did a really poor job at Forest in his last job, but until then I think he'd done a pretty good job everywhere he'd been. Again, championship, so it might be out of our reach in terms of wages, but he's out of work. He's in his 60s. Maybe he fancies a crack up here. I don't know.
Yep. No.
Yeah, you're right, Liam. He did do a shit job at Forest.
But how many managers have done a shit job at Forest in the last 20 years? Pretty much all of them. So
a lot.
It's not just the manager.
No, it's absolutely correct.
The club is a cancer, like in terms of from the inside, it's the terribly run, and Chris Hughton couldn't turn it around on his own.
It's a pretty poisonous club, to be fair.
Right. So Liam, you're really not sure who will get the job. That's fair enough. Harry, what about yourself, mate? Who do you want? Who do you not want? Who do you think will get it?
I just want to, before I give you my first answer, I just want to list some things that I think are quite strange. I think it's quite strange actively rooting against your club because you made a tweet at the end of the summer transfer window. I think it's quite strange seeking out tweets from someone you don't follow and constantly berating them every time anything values your point. I also think it's very strange when the manager that you've been hounding and praying to get out the club leaves, that you want someone who's had one job, and that one job is managing the biggest budget in League Two of Scotland. Kevin Thompson is the single-handedly worst shout I've ever heard for any managerial role in my life. I think it's pretty embarrassing. If you had that opinion, or you hold that opinion, you're pretty stupid and don't know football.
Thompson gets it. We riot.
Sorry, anyone that listens that wants Kevin Thompson. This is not directed at you. This is directed at one person indirect.
Yeah, no. If you want Kevin Thompson to be Hibs manager at this moment in time, this is completely directed towards you as well. He is the strongest Hun I've ever heard on Rangers TV, and I don't want him anywhere near my club. Genuinely, hand on heart, if he got the Hibs manager role today, I would not have a season ticket until he was.
But Harry played for us for free.
Oh well, what a hero.
And then what's he saying? He'd crawl over glass to get Ty Brocks and be their manager.
Glass.
He'd walk over broken glass in the M8 or something. I'm sure it was. That was.
Those comments were taken out of context, right?
Well, what was it? He says Keith Jackson texted him asking for some words, and Kevin Thompson just replied saying, "Aye, do what you want." And
yeah, to be honest, Kevin Thompson refers to Rangers as we, so get him in the bin.
Do you know? See, on the first one, it's total sidetrack here, right? But with Thompson. First time we played Rangers last season, he was bad. On the second time we played them, or it might even have been this season. I think it was this season, actually. Aye, it was, because the other one was on Sky. And what's his name? The English boy that was doing the commentary, the main one?
Tilsley.
He actually kept questioning Thompson, or almost trying to get him to speak about Hibs. Don't know if he'd had feedback about how annoying he was the first time, but is there split loyalty? He's obviously played for Hibs, blah blah blah. And Thompson just wasn't getting involved with it. You know what I mean? He was actively getting pushed to recognise his Hibs connection, and he never recognised it. So as far as I'm concerned, there isn't one. Anyway, Harry, one you'd like? Who do you think's getting it?
So, see, the main problem for me, and the main reason I wasn't really banging on the Jack Ross drum out, is I don't really think there's that many viable options at the moment. And I think mid-season's a very difficult time because the time where most managers are out of jobs is when their contracts run out in the summer. So realistic, I'll give you my dream manager. If I could pick any manager at the moment, I would have Ange Postecoglou in a heartbeat. I think that man, if you can get someone like him, because you know the phrase, he gets it. He's went into that club, he's instilled his style of football, and he just chats back to the press, and he's everything that Hibs fans love. The reason we loved Lennon so much is because he wouldn't take any shit, and he just give it back to people. So I want someone to come in and just bring us that. I'll give who's a random person I can pick.
If I was holding a gun to your head today and you had to predict who you think, like it or not, is going to be the Hibs manager that isn't David Gray.
Alex Neil. I think it's a very like for like with Jack Ross, which is why I'm not really gunning for it. I think that we kind of need someone that will come in. I don't think we need complete hairdryer treatment, but I think we need someone that will just kind of lay the law as such and actually put their foot down and try and instill a bit of fear into the players, because I think Jack Ross is just too much of their mate. That's like from him leaving and that the comments that the players have made, they're all sad about it. And like if your team's lost, like if you've got 4 out of 27 points, you should be thinking, aye, no, you need to go. But the players are like, oh no, we really like Jack. But it's like, get some
Holiday camp springs to mind.
Is it wrong that there was a bit of me that almost wanted it to turn out that he'd lost the dressing room and we were going to see a big reaction? No, that I would ever want to see players turn on a manager, but like you're in that bad a running form, it's like, and like the manager goes and hopefully they come out and they batter the next team or that. Ultimately we've seen it after Lennon went. You know what I mean? Like
everyone thinks that Jack Ross is a nice guy, which doesn't wash for me, to be honest, because you've seen him chuck Poach's under the bus at Ibrox, and then the captain chucked him under the bus as well. Two far too nicey people at the club. For me, I think the players do need a hairdryer treatment. They've been pathetic for weeks. This isn't all on Jack Ross. This is also on the players. So they are also just as culpable. And if they're coming out saying he was a nice guy, then, well, screams easy right to me.
Right. So I'm going to go through folk that I do not want to get the job. Generally cover people that we've seen linked with it that none of you have covered. Robbie Fowler, no. That you done Derek? Did we do Derek? Aye, someone done Derek.
Yeah.
Derek McInnes. John Carver, no. Callum Davidson, absolutely fucking up. Just because he beat Hibs a couple of times last season, like, and then obviously won the cups, but like, no.
Fell apart. Look at him now.
I know. Who else have we seen? Like, there was someone in my head that's just escaped. But who would I really like Hibs to go after? I don't know. I really don't know. There's nobody out there that's screaming at me. Liam, I think someone you'd mentioned to us actually, and then I seen him on a bookie's slip. Was that Raphael Wiki? Is that his name?
Raphael Wiki.
From read a little bit of reading up on him, I think he's way out of our reach. Pretty good playing career.
I don't know about that. A good playing career, but he was just being sacked by Chicago.
Was he sacked? Was he? Aye, because I seen
sacked by Chicago Fire. He had a year at Basel. He was sacked by Basel. I don't know where the fuck that come from.
I'm sure he won the. I'm sure when I was reading, it said he had won the league at Basel. So I don't know.
But Basel win the league habitually in Switzerland. That's
doesn't matter.
Shoot you in. I know young boys occasionally have had a bit of success, but it's typically Basel that win the league there. So he's my extent of my knowledge with Raphael Wiki is I signed him on Championship Manager 0102, centre defensive midfield player. Great name as well, Raphael Wiki. Fucking sign him for the name.
The thing that
another name I've seen as well, I can't actually decide if I hate it or not. Sean Maloney. I think that
he needs a lot of support around him, mate. Can you see? Sure. I can't see him commanding a dressing room. I think he's a really intelligent guy.
Say, I mean,
he's going to be too much like that pal, and the way he talks about phases of play, folk would just sit there confused.
And this is what I was going to say. Like, we've spoken about Jack Ross post match. You ever watch Sean Maloney on Sports Scene? I don't know if I can deal with Sean Maloney telling us how we went through phases of play after we've been beat 2-0 at Hibs Hearts. Like
with the right assistant, though.
Yeah,
I would be up for Sean Maloney. Like genuinely, would be up for Sean Maloney with the right assistant.
What about I know this was like the last time, but like people like John Kennedy, I've seen that he was getting mentioned. But for me, I think that you need someone that's a wee bit of experience in management to come into Hibs, because it's a very difficult job to come into when the morale is so low. And yeah, I think John Kennedy would maybe be a good assistant, but as a first team coach, I think I can't remember who actually mentioned it. But
I'd been up for John Kennedy if when Lennon had gone, they got the caretaker job. If he actually left up and did something else, but when Lennon left, he basically
just did the same
players and had the same team. So he didn't really put his own stamp on it, which to me kind of says.
He knocked us back as well. He turned down the opportunity to speak to us when we hired Jack Ross, or it was either Jack Ross or Heckenbottom, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I just, something that I was speaking about the other day, I can't remember whoever, it might have been in work. It feels to me that in my lifetime anyway, maybe the best managers have been the ones that have been a little bit left field. Tony Mowbray. Alan Stubbs, and I would put Neil Lennon in that as well. Now, he was experienced, but I don't think anyone probably thought at the time Neil Lennon could get the Hibs job. We're sitting in the Championship, you know what I mean? I think it came out of the blue. I think they are generally the ones that do well. The more obvious ones, Butcher, shit show. Jack Ross was the obvious one. Had a degree of success, but eventually got stale. Like I don't know. I think like what you've all said, maybe a little bit of change is what's needed. I would be wary of going to the continent purely looking at what happened at Hearts. I know Stendhal had experience of English football, but came in, really tried to totally change the way that they were playing. Obviously, he did get them playing, and Hearts were back in the Championship. So that's got a little bit of red flags to me. When they were like, I don't know if I'd want someone coming in the middle of the season that's going to like really like that. I don't know.
Let's have it right. Daniel Stendhal didn't work at Hearts because he didn't have the players to play the system he chose to play. So he was naive. He didn't understand that you couldn't play a high line with Christoph or Sperr at centre back. That's why Daniel Stendhal's Hearts got relegated. The other players they had were not capable of playing a press. Liam Boyce is not going to set a press for you. So let start.
No, but this is what
you
that's
appoint
what
a manager. They need to understand they're working with the players that they've got, and you can only play a particular style of football if the players that you've got can play that style of football. If you come in and try and implement your philosophy with the wrong set of players, it just doesn't work.
Well, this is sort of what I was getting at, because the thing is as well, like, say we did bring someone in that wanted to play that style of football. If we're sitting leaving Ryan Poitras and Paul Hanlon on the halfway line with everyone else bomb forward, Jesus fuck, you know what I mean? Like that.
Leave Paul Hanlon on the bench.
You know, like what? All right, even better. Darren McGregor and Ryan Poitras are left alone on the halfway line.
Maybe this will be the window where we actually recruit a centre half permanently. Won't hold my breath though.
Harry, I believe you've got a couple other names to throw in the hat.
Well, not one of them you just said there. Shout out to Canal for the second worst nomination.
It's Connell, you dick.
Connell.
Canal again. He's still saying fucking Canal.
Say what you see. See the names of pronunciations down in England.
Anyway, say what you see. Aye, I see Connell.
Aye, well, see Connell. That Daniel Stendhal shout was terrible. That we have to, friends of the podcast, we need to call them out when they say silly things. And also, I've seen that Shamrock Rovers manager. It seems
someone mentioned
Paddy Fenlon to me, but Stephen Bradley apparently has had a good couple of years with them. I have no idea if he would be a good appointment or not, but I thought I'd throw the name out there and see what you think. I'm not a big fan of
been there, done that, no chance.
It's another friend of the podcast, Ryan Melville, I think, who originated that shout on Twitter, and I don't hate it, but I also don't love it. I think Shamrock Rovers again. You know, talking about big clubs, they've got the biggest budget in Ireland, so when they win the league,
expect it.
That's just them achieving the bare minimum. So it doesn't necessarily kind of set them up for success in terms.
He's the one that had quite a good European run with them a few years back, though.
Nah, he's not been there that long.
So right.
Also, just to shout out to Ryan Melville, hope you're doing well, mate. I know you had a bit of a.
I seen him at the weekend. We've seen him last
perfect.
Week, actually, so seems to be doing pretty well.
Glad to see he's back on the mend. We'll not go into that any further.
I think I've got a consensus going here that there's no obvious candidate.
But you didn't give us your obvious candidate.
Yeah, I think
Steve Keane. You want Steve Keane?
I do not want
company man.
That was
the company man.
Do you know when
what you actually want is Steve Warnock. Neil Warnock playing Brexit football.
Do you know when I said, there's a couple that I'm no fit? They were the two that. See, as soon as I seen people, I'm probably the most anti Neil Lennon. I would take Neil Lennon and I would take Neil Lennon away to Kelly before I took Neil Warnock at Hibs. Just
Brexit football.
Like
right, all these gun to your head. Tommy Wright or Derek McInnes.
Derek McInnes every day of the week. Not even close.
Shoot me.
Not even close.
I'm not saying anything.
Derek McInnes, not even close. And look, the thing is, right? I think I speak on behalf of Ollie here. No matter who gets appointed.
If you say Derek McInnes, you don't speak on behalf of me.
No, I'm saying, but no, irrelevant of that question, William. I think okay. No matter who gets appointed, we will obviously fully support them initially.
If Kevin Thompson gets appointed, I'll
out with
obviously
him.
love
Out with him. But
Again, you speak for yourself, mate.
wait, seriously though, like,
No.
what's your guts telling you?
This is going to be an absolute
Right now,
clusterfuck.
I think this board is absolutely tone deaf. And I think they'll get an
Neil
appointment
Lennon's
that does
coming
not
back.
go down well with the fans. I think they're absolutely tone deaf.
See, right now, the mayor seems to rumble on. The mayor, I think Neil Lennon's coming back.
Good.
But if
Because
my
some players in that dressing room need a proper talking to. And do you
With
know
a
what,
fucking
right?
proper chair across the head.
No, but look, you can talk about the way Lennon left, right? He singled Canberra out. Well, he was a very good judge of character. Let's get one thing right.
Maybe a shite football manager, but he kids a prick when he sees one.
Correct. I don't know. Yeah.
All right.
I personally can't wait for Lennon to come back for the patter, because bringing the band back together, we'll have Nilom, Mavrius, Machulevicius, Heinemann, the whole lot come back to Easter Road.
Greg just wants Lennon back. Greg just wants Lennon back, so he brings
for the aeroplane
back.
I want the aeroplane back. Are you not telling me you had a great day that day?
I wasn't there. I was in Thailand.
Well, you missed it. What a day that was.
I had a great day sitting in Thailand watching on the laptop.
Bring back Brandon Barker.
Yeah,
don't do that.
Right, seriously, Liam, Harry, what's the gut telling you before we wrap up and actually talk about some football instead of managerial appointments?
Liam, I'll let you go first.
The gut telling me about what?
Right now, where are you landing? If you think right now,
it's going to be someone that none of us have mentioned.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about yourself, Harry?
Cat and the duck.
Was Chris Hughton at Norwich under Kensal anyway?
Oh nah, I don't know if that would match up. Was he there quite a while ago?
I honestly couldn't tell you.
And to be fair, Ben Kensal was probably the janitor at that point, so I would Chris Hughton would have been some levels above him.
Yeah, see if we're going about on folk that Kensal would have worked with. Just bring in fucking Arsene Wenger, was he marketing at Arsenal or something? Anyway.
Daniel Farke's the other one that he worked with, but I don't know if we could
find that
get Daniel Farke in.
One last question on the manager. Sorry, I'm not trying to wrap us up there. Is it important that we get someone in this week, the longer it rumbles on? Because after the final, it's not an easy run of fixtures.
Yeah, but to be honest, we're absolutely shite. So really, it doesn't matter who comes in, right? We're still going to be shite until the January window. So quite frankly, who's arsed? Because if these players
that transitions us nicely, Greg.
If these players aren't up for Sunday, then get them out. No. Don't care. Get them out. I mean, if you're not up for a cup final, regardless of who the manager is, then do me a favour.
Right.
Just leave.
Harry, Liam, any further to add on that on the timescales of appointment? Is it important we get someone in?
Here's my hot take. It doesn't matter who we appoint. If they can keep Kyle McGuinness fit, they'll have a good tenure at Hibs.
I'm kind of on the page that I think we need to get someone in before the final, ideally. But I wouldn't do that at sacrificing not getting the right appointment. Yep. So I'm not interested in interims. We need a proper manager to come in and actually get a January transfer window where we're trying to set a team up for the future. Interim appointments are no use.
An interim appointment to me just screams that you're writing off the season, and I don't think we're in a position to write off the season at either end of the table right now. Like we are in a little bit of state of flux. If we come out and win a couple of games, we could end up fitting the European places with a cup. If we come out and keep losing with an interim manager that maybe doesn't give a fuck, then we could end up going down. We are in that mid-table sort of obscurity now. Right, Greg, the game that led to Jack Ross's dismissal, Livy, what the fuck, mate? What the fuck happened there?
Well, you've got your captain who's pathetic, can't defend, obviously can't be disciplined. You've also got your vice captain who's pathetic and can't be disciplined. You've also got Jimmy Murphy, one of the biggest myths in Scottish football, who absolutely shat the bed after taking a few penalties off fans, claiming he was injured, so went off at half time. Didn't really do much for the goal. He just kind of stood there and put his arse in the boy that scored. You've got Josh Stoik, who's powder puff. Your midfield too, just kind of sit and don't really get involved. And Boyle, I don't know what he was aiming for. Kevin Nisbet takes some power of shite off Hibs fans when really he's trying fucking very hard, and balls are getting fired at about 100 mile an hour.
Right.
So let's get it right.
I've got to interject here, right? I've got to interject.
And also, Matt Macy should never ever play for this club ever again. He is beyond shite.
Right, I've got to interject, but Harry Liam, I'll let you come in here. But this had been stitches at the game on Wednesday night.
Madness.
I want to say it was the first half, and the ball's been pinged up at Nisbet. He's taken a half decent touch and lost it. Everyone's went fucking mental. And Greg's like, oh, well, at least the lad is trying. Like, look at the service he's getting. At least he's trying. Ball get literally, when he loses it, ball just gets launched forward. Hanlon half clears it. Hanlon, that's fucking disgusting. I'm like, at least he's trying. Oh, just the fucking polar opposites was awesome.
Listen, everyone's got their favourites. That's all I'm saying.
Harry, the more we watch that penalty, Martin Boyle, meet this guy that. Nah, what did you make of the game in general?
I think there was three defining players. I think that Jack Ross at the start of the season, against quite a lot of the fan base, not myself included, picked Paul Hanlon and Paul McGinn as his captain and vice captain. The two players that got sent off on the last day of his tenure. He's had one player that's bailed him out several times this season, Martin Boyle, had the chance to do it again. I don't think he's obviously not intentionally missed the penalty, but I think that just kind of summarises his luck in the last couple of months. I think it was undisciplined. It was pathetic. We played well for 10 minutes, but you have a 90-minute game, so playing well for 10 minutes isn't going to cut it. I think that the players do need to hold their head in shame. We've got a loser mentality. The team are happy with losing. And one thing that pisses me off is if you go out there and you know you've played pish, go and clap the fans. Like, I wasn't at the game, but like the fans paid money and went over, and there was about maybe 6 or 7 players went over and clapped.
And,
like,
every single one of them got torrents of abuse.
But rightly so.
That's the thing.
No, I agree.
See, the thing is, we put our lives and soul and shit ton of money into the club. Like, if we want to boo people at the end of the game because they're getting paid for the week, that's it. You need to take that. And obviously, mental health's a massive thing. But if you take a high pressure job and you're performing for lots of people and they're paying a lot of money for you to do a lot of good things and you're not doing them, you need to take what's coming to you. Like, say thanks to the fans at the end of every game. That's simple. This
as Matt Macy always does that, no matter the result, which I do respect him for, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't.
Liam, transitioning in, but we're not going to talk about Matt Macy because I feel like we could be there a while for you. Is it
Liam?
Would it be
Matt
fair?
Macy.
Would it be fair to say that was arguably Jack Ross's worst game in charge, his last one?
Dundee United at home for me this season. 2 worst performances under Jack Ross, which is unfortunate really because they've come relatively close together, and Dundee United at home for me still lives long in the memory. I think the fact that we went to Livingston and we didn't really create anything is a sad indictment of where we're at as a football club at the moment. You just talked about Kevin Nisbet. To be honest, I think that guy is trying, but the service that he is getting and has been getting for the last few weeks now has been absolutely abysmal. He's had the odd chance from a header, which I think he could have and should have done better with, but let's be honest, it's not really Kevin Nisbet's game to be in the box putting power behind balls that there's no pace on the balls. See when we get a ball in the box, it's drafted in. How many headers do you ever see scored for a ball that's like floated in? It needs to be zipped in at pace, and you get a glance on it, and it goes in.
Just look at the amount of goals we've conceded to crosses this season.
Never from those power headers. Like that are very, very, very seldom. Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad, and I was ill on Wednesday night, and I was just watching it, and I was just going, "This is so fucking depressing watching this." That on Wednesday night or Dundee United, I can't make my mind up which is the worst performance under Jack Ross. But having said that, Martin Boyle scores a penalty. You get a bit of energy from it.
Aye.
I'm not saying it would have been, but it could have been different. I mean, the worst thing, last thing I'm going to say, the worst thing about that performance is we made Stefan Almionga and Jason Holt look like good football players.
Aye. Almionga did look good, to be fair. Didn't have to do much to look good. I felt like...
Just to join in and totally change the subject, sorry, the Daily Record Sport must be listening to the podcast. They have said Ronnie Dyler's tipped for the Hibs job. So
I didn't see it. I'd love it. I'd really enjoy it.
Thank you, Daily Ranger.
But
Welcome to the show.
But I can't see it, especially after just winning the MLS Cup. However, as we were discussing on Saturday night, his team did fucking bottle it with the last kick. I know they won on penalties, but literally last kick of the game, they chucked the lead that they had the majority of the game. So maybe it's tailor-made for Hibs.
They don't win 2 trophies in a week.
Oh, is there only one trophy in the MLS?
I thought you win the championship, and if you win the championship,
you win like your conference, and then you win.
Yeah.
So basically, if it came to Hibs, it was like the equivalent of winning the semi-final.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ultimately, he's won a trophy if I get to the top 6 or whatever. Like.
Aye, and then but what was it? The thing that really disappointed me the most was the Livy game. And it sort of summarised, I think, a lot of things we've said for a while under Jack Ross. Even last season, we didn't really come from behind. We played all right for the opening 18 minutes. No great, but all right. Like Liam said, Nisbet had a chance and stuff. Livy scored. And then even still, we then go down the field and we get the penalty. The moment we miss the penalty, he'd go. Didn't do anything else the rest of the game. Kevin Nisbet has a late chance. Scott Allen has a great chance, to be fair, coming off the bench.
Joe Newell as well.
But like, really, we've done nothing in the game, and I think that just epitomised the running form that we were on. And just, I don't. Was it only one game we won from behind last season? Was it Ross County away? Was that the only one? And
yeah.
I think maybe Motherwell this season's the only one I remember. So it just, and I think the polar opposite between opening 20 and then the 70 minutes is what really, really stuck out to me. And your captain and your vice captain, I think, was it Harry mentioned or Greg, you said about the lack of discipline. Because it
was me. It was me.
You just need to just let them go. You know what I mean? Like, you're tugging at shirts, just let the guy run. You know what I mean? Like, you're on a booking. Just defend properly. Don't tug the shirt. Get back in position, and because neither of them are running in on goal. Hanlon should have been sent off for his first booking. That was a red card all day long. But neither of them are running in on goal with the tugs on the shirt. It's really, really poor. But look, that ultimately cost Jack Ross's job. Liam, David Gray, interim charge, has made it clear he doesn't want the job permanently. He was in charge at St Mirren at the weekend. Did you see any differences? You're on mute.
No, it's exactly how we would have set up under Jack Ross. To be honest, there was no difference, no notable difference to the style of football. Having said that, I don't really know what you could expect them to have done differently, given that it was Wednesday night we played. They probably trained Friday after coming in for a cool down on Thursday, and then Saturday they're on their way to Paisley. So I don't think there's a huge amount you could really expect from them to have done differently. No huge shake up in terms of the team. So yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to say about how we set up. It was just same again.
Yep. Harry, the first half at the game, the conditions were horrendous. Like they really were. Like, I don't know if you could really tell on the telly, but the wind coming in off of what I think would have been the stand the TV would have been looking at. I think like the ball was getting caught up in there all the time, and I thought Hibs managed the conditions okay in the first half. I actually thought we were all right. I don't know what you thought watching at home. Nisbet, I know Liam said about the header, but I think he's got to score. I think he's even got time to bring it down and get a shot away. Harry, what did you make of the first half performance?
You know, that's me. It was dreadful. Like, I don't think we played particularly bad. The weather was horrendous, but every time we play against St Mirren away, it's always a crap first half. Like, it was just not football. It was just crap. Two teams looking like they hadn't won for 10 games each and just didn't look particularly interested. It was just an ugly game and a terrible display for Hibs.
Greg, moving into the second half, I think the boys have sort of summarised the first half there. Josh Campbell gets his first goal for the club and it's almost everything that we've wanted to see maybe in recent weeks. We distribute the ball quickly. Macy comes for a cross, rolls out to Murphy quickly. He's positive on the front foot and we work it well. At that point, what were we expecting to see?
Well, Josh Campbell's in the right place at the right time. You know, I think it's to cover off the defender. He's put it away. It's pretty basic stuff. From there, I thought we were okay, but we just sit so deep. We sit far too deep. And it's actually lazy how deep we sit.
I think it just screams a team that are lacking confidence. They know how much they need to win.
It screams a team that isn't willing to put the work rate in. For me, I think it's incredibly lazy sitting that deep. You just invite pressure. You're playing St Mirren away, who haven't won for a while as well, and we're just sitting deep inviting pressure on when we know that we can't deal with crosses. And ultimately, that was our undoing. I think it's pathetic. It's so lazy. It's just poor, so poor. And then obviously we can't defend that cross again.
Liam, in general, I thought we defended pretty well at the weekend. I actually thought we were much better at stopping crosses. Until the goal. I thought Cadden played pretty well at right back. I thought Lewis Stevenson was best player in the park by a country mile. Has that back four done enough to keep Hanlon and McGinn out?
No.
They both come straight back in?
Mirren had like one attack and they scored. Let's be serious. Like we're really scratching to try and find some credit to give them. I mean, Macy made a reaction save just before.
Yeah, it was
maybe 4 or 5 minutes before the goal. Good save. But those were St Mirren's 2 attacks in the entire game. I think St Mirren finished with an XG of 0.19 or something like that. That's how many chances they managed to create during the game. I mean, St Mirren were woeful. I mean, yeah, there's people shouting for Jim Goodwin to get the job, but fuck me, if that's
that's what I meant. That's what I meant to say. Is man, that I really don't
honestly,
want from a raid in January.
They've got the thing is, St Mirren have got some half decent players now.
I'm sorry. Imagine saying on a podcast that you want Jim Goodwin to be the next Hibs manager. How embarrassing would that be?
Jim Goodwin, Stevie Robinson.
Not even just that. They'd tweet
it out, I know. Hey, Stephen Robinson's still unemployed, as you know.
Oh, fuck off, you.
Nah, he's at Bradford City.
Oh, is he?
He's at Bradford City. Nah, St Mirren have got some decent players now, so he's not really got an excuse to be still turning out terrible football. I would still quite like us to go after Jamie McGrath in January if we can make it happen. I like the boy Ronan. I don't think even Brophy's a terrible football player. They obviously didn't go with him at the weekend. They used Curtis Main, who, when Darren McGregor seen that Curtis Main was starting up front, he would have been licking his lips, going, thank you very much.
Who?
Was Brophy no? I thought he had started playing him.
Brophy came off the bench, I think.
Oh, did he? I thought he started playing him. Apologies.
Greg Kilty, maybe you're thinking of.
Maybe.
But no, Curtis Main, Darren McGregor, meat and drink. But I don't really know where I was going with that, other than to say it was a really bad game of football. But having said that, we were probably the better team, and we probably deserved to win the game.
Probably just. Greg, a player that you have, look, you've highlighted it, and in fact, you said after the game we've got two defenders in the squad that are good enough.
Yep.
Ryan Poitras and who else?
Chris Cadden. If you class them as a defender, no. You know what, you're right. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of the sentiment of this club.
I knew this was coming. I thought Stevenson was good. I thought Stevenson was good at the
I thought he was our man of the match.
I thought Stevenson was comfortably the best player in the park, and he definitely started for me on Tuesday night.
Mate, who else should have started like?
Oh, you've got Josh Doig, who was going for a million in the summer.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Mackie.
Sean Mackie. What's his song again? I didn't even get it. You were singing it.
Sorry, he's our number 43.
Mackie, he's our number 43.
Sean Mackie.
Class.
Yeah.
Actually,
well, see, one thing that was good about Hibs' performance at the weekend, thanks for asking, Ewan.
I wasn't finished.
Wait your turn, Specky.
I'll just jump myself in. I thought that Campbell's knee slide flash.
That was a good celebration, to be fair. It was.
I'll give him that.
Okay.
I'm a fan of Hibs players shutting me up. I said to him to stop shooting, and he shot the next game and scored. So fair play.
To be honest, Harry, it was 5 yards, mate.
But he's not scored.
7 at a push.
Every other shot he's taken.
Are we actually playing for celebrations?
No,
is that how?
Greg, I know you are generally a bare minimum guy, but
that is bare minimum.
But we've spoke all season about the importance of getting midfielders into the box and being in the position to score goals.
Oh, absolutely.
Josh Campbell he does well. He makes sure he's there. It's a counter attack. He makes sure he's in the box to score the goal, and we've not had that since Kyle McGuinness has been injured.
Well, there's a difference between Harry not wanting him to shoot for 20 yards out. There's a difference between him falling to his feet 7 yards out. There is a difference.
There was a bit of me that still thought Anik was going to save it. I'd even when it fell, I was still like, oh, but it was
To be
good.
fair, I thought a good 2 minutes on the stream to watch before that goal went in because you had ruined it for us all.
Oh, that was brutal, by the way. Watching that 90-minute game and the one good thing that happened, you was like,
I
but
didn't.
anyway, thank you.
I didn't tell you when St Mirren scored though. So at least I kept just waiting for that.
Oh well, that was a right delight.
Again, I had another point. I was gone. Oh well.
Harry, what would your team look like for the Dundee game? Any players that in that 11 that you think definitely should be starting or definitely should be coming out of the 11?
I just think it's brutal we've not got any youngsters we can start bringing into the first team. I think that
we've just spent the last 2 minutes talking about Josh Campbell.
How old's Josh Campbell?
21.
23.
21.
21. He's not 21.
He's 21.
He's been about for years.
That's hardly young. He's been an established professional for about 2 years now. I think we've got a massive centre-back problem. I think that Ryan Porteous, despite the fact that he's proven this season, for the most part, that he's a good player, the last couple of weeks he's been honking. I'm not looking forward to him coming back in the team. I think Paul Hanlon's been absolutely like a dump truck through tar, and he's been absolutely terrible. I think Cadden has proven that he can't block crosses either, so he's not good at right back. I think McGinn's proven that he can't block crosses, so he's not good at right back. Stevenson, if he's the answer at left back, then you've got a problem, because I love Lewis Stevenson, but how old is he? 40s?
Age is just a number, Harold. Age is just a number. His age is a stick to beat him. No, criticise his performance, but not his age. Like, just because we're going to start going after players for their age, I'm not here for that.
All right, well, that's me putting my place.
He's also about the same.
No. If you're going to criticise him, like, let's criticise his performance. I thought he was excellent.
I agree. I thought he was very
but if we're going to go after folk for their age, then I'm not here for that.
Right, well, that'll be the last time I do that on the podcast. Being honest, if possible, if we could start 11.
Right, that's very done.
Head is gone. His head's gone.
He doesn't know what he wants to talk about now.
Let's just make sure the average age is under 23. Keep Harry happy.
That's when I play Football Manager. Right? See, someone turns 27, transfer listed at the club. That's it.
Liam, so you spoke. I would agree. I thought Lewis Stevenson was actually pretty good. I've said that I thought he was good at the weekend. I would agree. I take it he keeps his place in the team. Other players
he's generally been very good this season when he's played.
I would agree.
In the games in Europe when he played, when Ndoye got dropped, he was very good. There was games last season where he wasn't very good, but this season when he's come in, generally he's been very, very solid for us. And Josh Ndoye has been painful to watch at times this season.
Yeah. Would agree. I think as well, although I don't think Stevenson's at the level where he could start every week for Hibs. I think certainly for a player that has that much experience, he's coming and doing a better job than a guy that hit the ground running last season has been poor this season. I think he does add something to the squad, and personally for me, he shouldn't be dropped because I don't really think there's any need to be honest. I would also play him on Sunday.
I'd 100% play him in the final. If I was dropping him, it'd be a Dundee game. If there was a question mark over his fitness, but he has to start the final as far as I'm concerned. The one thing Lewis Stevenson rarely happens in his career, at least any sort of resurgence from Stubbs onwards, not many wingers have got the better of him. Really, I know, on the maybe out with Gary Mackay-Steven. Gary Mackay-Steven generally had him on toast, but rarely.
Q Wheeler Bada absolutely roasted on Sunday now. Thanks for that, Ian.
No, but Liam, back.
It's all Ewan's fault.
Back to the Dundee game, Liam. Gogic came in. Murphy came in against Livy, but Gogic started. Cadden at right back. What would you be looking at first Tuesday night? Any of them staying in?
Cadden would still play right back for me because I think he's a superior option to Paul McGinn in that position, certainly going forward anyway. I'm going to say something that's going to surprise some people. I would keep Alex Gogic in the team against Dundee. I thought Gogic was good for 60 minutes against St Mirren on Saturday. I don't think he was brilliant, don't get me wrong, but I think he was good. He broke up the play, did what was asked of him. I think the Newland Doyle Hayes conundrum for me is there's still a huge question mark about whether or not that works. And I think if you've got Gogic sitting there, it does allow a Joe Newell type to play a bit further forward.
I get that. I do get that way of thinking. I know none of you have been impressed with Christian Doidge and his cameos between the red card, the lack of anything in the second half at Livy, and the chest.
To be honest, you can stop at the red card because he's done
Would
nothing
you?
since.
Do we need to get minutes in him though? Like ultimately,
What's the
like,
point if he's going to be as bad as he has been?
Is there benefit to starting him as opposed to trying to bring him on to get up to the speed of the game?
To be honest,
just because like look, if you don't,
we need to try and get minutes. Wow, he's been poor, but we do need to try and get minutes in him. So I'd maybe play him tomorrow. But yeah, why no? What else are we going to do? We're absolutely toilet. No. We're absolutely toilet. So
I'd be looking at starting him. I think that
Harry'll play him at centre half. He's good at defending crosses.
I think there's an argument. Look, I think there's an argument for starting Doidge. I think it's going to, even if you get an hour out of him, I'd rather start him and be shite than bring him off the bench and a goal and be shite. I'd be looking, if I'm honest, but I'm not in any rush to bring Hanlon or McGinn back into that team.
Me neither.
I thought McGregor was all right at the weekend. He was pissed poor for the goal. What did I noticed what you were saying about? I know Griffiths and Cummins haven't been starting for Dundee. Who's been starting up front for Dundee now? And
Danny Mullen.
Is he of a similar ilk to Curtis Main or?
Nah, he's a bit more of a runner.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So McGregor could potentially get exposed by that then, but the back four I would probably keep the same. I think it's a shoe-in know that Paul Hanlon will come back in. I do expect David Gray to bring him in, but I'd keep Cadden at right back. If Gogic starts, that's okay.
I'm going home.
I'm okay with that if he starts.
I'm not.
I'd probably. My agenda.
Dundee at home. Dundee at home. If you're starting him, do me a favour.
What I would do is
we're starting him to get other players and get more out of the other players that we've got. Basically,
we've spoken about Joe Newell being better.
The limitations of the squad. That is the limitations of the squad.
I get that, but
under normal circumstances. And is he a good football player?
No,
not particularly. But what he does do, he is relatively effective at what he does do. And he was a good player for us last season. He came in, had a couple of shocking performances at the start of this season, and everyone's written him off. Maybe a new manager will look at Alex Gogic and say, I think there's a place for him in this squad. Maybe.
Yeah, you just don't know.
See, for me though, you talk about Jake Doyle-Hayes and Jojo being very similar, but all Jake Doyle-Hayes has to do is sit and Newell to go ahead. I think ahead of the ball.
I think neither of them want to exclusively do that, and I don't think either of their strengths is to exclusively do that. I think I agree with Liam in the sense that Newell probably looks better beside Gogic than he does with Jake Doyle-Hayes. Harry's mentioned it for weeks about Joe Newell looks a lot better, and Hibs look a lot better when Joe Newell breaks forward and tries to get beyond the strikers. I felt he done that again more at the weekend than he has alongside Jake Doyle-Hayes. Maybe pure coincidence, but it might not be. But I wouldn't be in a rush to drop Gogic for Doyle-Hayes. If I was dropping Gogic, and almost along the sense of what you're saying, Greg, I would even it's Dundee at home. I'm not a big fan of him, but there could be an argument to try and get Scott Allen into the team. But I don't know if Josh Campbell's got the capabilities to play as a 2 in centre midfield. I don't know, but I would potentially even just go flat 4-4-2, Murphy on the left, Boyle on the right, Doidge and Nisbet up front, Campbell and Newell in midfield, and really try and have a go from the start.
This is really depressing, isn't it?
This
is really depressing. Hey, Graham Matthews, see if you're listening, you're part of the problem.
Do you just finally on the Dundee game, score predictions, but has David Gray had enough time now to potentially try and change anything, Liam? He's not like to say for Sunday, Monday, really.
I mean, they wouldn't have trained Sunday because of the game on Saturday, so he's had today at HTC, which is the day before a game. So I wouldn't imagine they were doing anything too strenuous. Probably doing some nice stretching and some yoga.
Game of fives.
Watching videos of Reel the big telly.
We'd all love to see a huge number of changes, but the reality is there's not enough players in the squad to make a huge number of changes. I would really like to see him make some major changes. I can't see it.
Who would be looking then? James Scott coming in for the start? Jamie Garland?
Yeah, James Scott coming from start. I think Jamie Murphy would be coming out for me. It's not done enough to continually get started places in the team. I'd probably go Doidge up with Nisbet, as you know, and will be a standing agenda point for me now till the end of the season. I would change the goalie. I would.
Who was decent at the weekend?
mean, they could save his distribution. His distribution's been a wee bit better, actually.
That's
I mean,
what I said.
just to call it out.
I think he did play a part in the goal.
He's better at throwing it than he is at kicking it. So maybe instead of kicking it, he should just throw it out every time. No. Seriously.
I think as well there was a few occasions he came for the look. We're quick enough to criticise him, but he comes for a cross and we score a goal. Like it is no, but
and he threw the ball when he found the Hibs player.
And we spoke about speedy play, and I think that's been a huge thing with Macy. He slows the game down. And I felt in general, Hibs did play at a quicker pace at the weekend. There was a few throw-ins that were, instead of just held, waiting for someone to bounce it back to them. I think Nisbet a few times worked well to let it run across their body, and we've got attacks moving. Like, I do think we played at a better pace, and I think the goalkeeper does play a big part in setting the tempo. Ultimately,
he's not good enough.
Anyway, right, Harry, score predictions, please.
It's funny because my score prediction for Sunday is more positive than the one I'll give here. I think it's going to be 2 each.
Okay, Liam.
1-0 Hibs.
Greg.
1-1.
I'll go 2-0 Hibs. So we've got 2-2.
Aye, go and grow up, you, and actually say something.
What do you mean? What about the fucker talking right now?
But it's you every week. Every week, you. Every week.
It's fucking you every week, I know.
Aye, but you
got an ounce of positivity in you.
You commit to clean sheets every week, mate.
Well, it's got to come right eventually. Right.
It definitely doesn't.
Well, obviously, look, we will be doing a second recording this week prior to the cup final. But Liam, I don't think you're going to be able to join us. So just briefly, quickly talk us through what you're expecting on Sunday.
Oh, you're giving me the opportunity to talk.
Well, you're not.
Allow them to steal. Yeah, I'm a hold up an imaginary trophy there, Harry. I am expecting a Hibernian victory on Sunday.
What are you expecting though?
On penalties, it's going to be 1-1 after extra time, 1-1 after full time. Hibs are going to win on penalties. And the new manager / David Gray. There's a lot of variables between now and Sunday. A lot of things could change.
I can't wait.
The new manager / David Gray is going to do the Louis van Gaal, and he's going to sub his goalies in extra time to psych out their team. And Dabrowski's got to come in playing goals, and he's going to save all the Celtic penalties. Hibs are going to score one of theirs. We're going to win 1-0 on penalties, and the first ever 1-0 penalty shootout victory.
It's going to get to the 11th round and Dabrowski's going to be the one that scores it.
No, fair enough. But look, Liam, take us away. I believe you've got, in the spirits of Jack Ross moving on, a manager / coach. Guess who special?
Hibs coach. Guess who special. So, the rules of the game: 5 clues on each individual. You get 1 opportunity to guess each individual. You get 5 points for getting that right. You get it wrong, you are out. Simple. 5.
Yep.
Okay, the criteria I have used for these people is they have at some point been a coach of the Hibernian men's first team. So at some point they have had a coach or a coaching role within Hibernian men's first team. Okay, so I'll take it away with the first clue. It's all very serious to start. I feel like I need some entry music to get it started.
Edit that in.
I was born on the 6th of April, same birthday as me, just in case anyone's wondering, 1967 in Hartlepool, England.
My wee brain's trying to figure out what age that makes him.
I spent the entirety of my playing career in England. However, was briefly registered as a player for Hibs.
Mark Venus.
Mark Venus.
Correct, Greg. Mark Venus.
Just beat me to the punch there.
Because he played for.
He was registered under Mowbray. I shouldn't have said I know who it is. I should have fucking said. Not well.
Okay. Right. Next player. Second, or not even player. Next clue. Next person. I started my youth career with Chelsea in England, but then spent the entirety of my playing career for the country of my birth.
Okay.
I've also managed exclusively in the country of my birth, other than a period at Hibs.
Finland.
Correct. Patty, Ireland.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well
well, Chelsea
done.
as a
Well
youth.
done, Harry.
You're getting them quick tonight, only 2 clues each.
I just guessed because
Funny
I'm like, surely he's not been out of Ireland apart from Hibs. Come on.
Is he still managing?
Right. He's the CEO at Linfield.
Oh,
Boo!
Right, let's go. Third individual. I was born in Canada.
Specky, shut up, mate.
I really hope that gets picked up.
I have dual nationality of Canada and one of the other British Isles.
Boo!
I took in a range of clubs during my playing career, including Bath City, Raith Rovers, Dunfermline, Rangers, West Brom, Sunderland, and Man United. Fourth clue. As a player, I spent my career playing at right back.
Oh, it's what's his face?
Fifth clue. I am currently working as an assistant manager with Northern Ireland.
It's fucking Liam something. Was he not here under Fedlin?
Liam Brady.
No.
Oh well, I mean,
I don't know his second name, but his first name's Liam.
Just say something.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
No, I'm not getting it.
I don't know. I don't know what his surname
Right,
is.
right-ish kind of era. Jimmy Nicholl.
Oh, Jimmy Nicholl, of course.
oh, fuck. Is he still at Northern Ireland? Who's Northern Ireland man? Irish man?
Barraclough.
Araclough. Right, next one. First clue. I was born in Aberdeen in 1959.
Bobby Williamson.
Incorrect.
Gutted.
Already.
I was like, surely no. So what's that make him 62? Well, or 61?
Yeah, 62. Yeah, 62. Just fucking testing my fucking arithmetics. I didn't sign up for this. Okay, I spent my playing career entirely in Scotland and England, and finished my playing career with Hibs. I was a central midfielder in my playing career. Not really giving you any easy clues. I had a brief spell in management as head coach of Ilkeston, a semi-professional football club in Derbyshire.
Heck. How many is that? 3, 4?
4.
Fuck.
And the final clue is I joined the coaching staff under Alex Miller and was then persuaded by Alex McLeish, a former teammate at Aberdeen, to be my assistant at Motherwell in 1994.
Right, okay. I know who it is.
So he came to Hibs with McLeish, again, or I didn't.
Well, he was a coach at Hibs, mate.
Aye, but he was here with fucking Alex Miller, you clown. So he might know he came back. Didn't you fucking pipe up? You do it. I've not got a clue.
He was McLeish's right hand man.
It's two. Oh no, that's not. It's no. No.
Andy Watson.
Nah, that's
not
not.
Assistant.
So who won? Greg.
We've got one more. There's still one more to go.
No, it's one.
Oh, no, it's 1-1 and 0. Aye, yeah.
Then 0-0 on the other two.
Right. The final one, and I would expect there to be a buzzer to go relatively early this one.
Right.
Okay. So, first clue is that I spent my entire playing career playing between England and Scotland. In my management career, I've managed in Scotland, England, Africa,
Bobby Williamson.
Correct, Bobby Williamson. Well
What
done.
was it? Was he Ugandan manager?
Uganda,
Was he
man.
manager of a manager?
He was
He was
an
manager of,
international manager somewhere.
A club
Strange.
in Nairobi as well. He was manager of Uganda and Kenya as well.
So just like Hibs, it's a 1-1 draw around there.
Nah, we'll have to have a tiebreaker.
I don't know if Liam's got a tiebreaker.
You can make one up.
I mean, I definitely can make.
But he's not going to.
I definitely can. But to be honest, I'm not sure the management ones worked quite as well as the player ones. So I think we'll just call this an even
It's
draw.
tricky. That's tricky, that one.
As soon as you changed the coaches, I kept thinking about Alan Combe. I was waiting for Alan Combe to be announced, and I was going to say it'd be
I should have plucked for a goalie coach, actually, see if I'd been thinking about it. I had Lee Makel on my short list of coaches, but I just couldn't find out any interesting information about Lee Makel.
Should have went for the
Hertz bastard. There we go.
Should have went for the boy that came down with Butcher. Was it Steve Marcel? Was it
Steve Marcella. Again, there'd be a lack
goalkeeper-
of information on him. Just on the dark web, you'd find out
goalkeeper
information.
coach / super scout that was apparently the brains of the operation behind Butcher and what was the other one?
Malpass.
Right.
Did you ever read the article about Steve Marcel that was in like the local paper in Inverness that talked about how he used to sleep in his car and that after games, like
because he was going all over the
rolls in the
place.
morning.
And was because it was no Sunday because he was
Inverness didn't have the
scouting so
budget to
many.
live in hotels.
Oh Jesus Christ! I mind when he came out and started warming up. Who would have been the goalie at the time? Williams. One of his first games, it was like you looked at him the same way you looked at Conrad Logan. When Logan was warming up at fucking St Mirren the game before the semi. No, look, boys, 1-1 and guess who? Hibs were 1-1 at the weekend against St Mirren, and fingers fucking crossed we win one of the games this week, if not both. But thank you very much for joining us, and we'll be back later on this week. Cheers.
Cheers.